Tonight we take a journey into the spirit realm of the Idaho 4. How can we be of service to these souls and their families? Bring your intuition and your compassion as we journey in to the spirit realm, the Idaho 4.
You're muted.
Welcome. Hi, True Crime Psychic Guy, where cases are chosen intuitively and helping those in need comes first. If you're drawn to truth, compassion, and seeking answers for the unheard, then you belong here. My name is Miriam. I'm a psychic medium. I'm a teacher of spirituality. Tonight, we have a special episode. We have a special guest. You guys probably know her already, Savannah Harvey. Savannah is a private investigator. She's going to assist us as we tackle part 2 to the Idaho 4. We're going to be answering your questions, revisiting timelines and information that we gathered in part 1. Savannah, as a private investigator, and Savannah is a private investigator. She's an intelligence researcher and human advancement founder of Crown Mass and an Air Force veteran. Denise, I almost called you Daisy. Meet Daisy.
Daisy.
Daisy is a I just did it again. Daisy is a psychic medium. Denise, she is a psychic medium, life doula, and Reiki healer who helps women align with their inner wisdom to become their own maven. Myself and Denise do not follow or read up on true crime specifically so we can come in as clear as possible. Of course, many cases like tonight are high profile. So if we have read or heard about the case, we will share that at the top. Yes, we have heard stuff. And please meet our researcher, of course, Miss Jen, who will be assisting with, she assists with research, with pre-show prep tonight and on the fly research. But tonight she is going to be focusing on a couple of interesting things. Comments, so be nice. And she's going to see if anything stands out as we're in discussion. That rings a bell, puts pieces together, notices something you guys say with something we're saying, and she'll call us out and say, hey guys, take a beat, let's talk about this. She's also going to bring to our attention, if it comes up, sometimes there might be contradictions, okay? So when we have contradictions, what that means is something that was said in the first show, we may say differently tonight because we are being presented with the question differently, or maybe we are being presented with a different photo that shows us something completely different. This happens. It's not unusual. It doesn't mean anyone was wrong. It means this is why we're revisiting it. This is also why we have someone like Savannah here who uses her own intuition. She hears our intuition and she applies her expertise and tries to put pieces together. What makes her work unique is the ability to not only watch and rewatch what we say, but then take what we say. And even if it's taking her down a path that she thought there's no way that's possible, she opens up her mind and says, let me go down this path and see, maybe it is possible. And that's what makes her work different from other people, is that she's able to really blend intuition with logic. She's able to come back and say, listen, you said this, but maybe could it be this? And it opens everything up. So I ask you tonight to also use your intuition and remember that intuition can be defy logic. And so you might have your mindset on it looking a certain way, or you saw or heard something. I'm not saying what you saw or heard is wrong. I'm asking you to stretch and say, well, what if what she's feeling isn't this, but it's this? And then together we can all put pieces together. It's important for us to always be mindful and respectful to the families involved. We don't want to diminish the pain and suffering, and we don't want to point blame or judgment. That can be hard, but that's going to be something we try. We encourage a community experience, so please put your questions and intuition in the chat. If there's anything that we feel should not be verbalized out loud for the safety of our team or the case being discussed, we will decline to answer. Any tangible information we get, we will always pass on to our authorities if we have that opportunity. With that being said, Monday night is pop therapy. If you want something a little bit lighter, join us there. But tonight is not going to be light. Tonight's going to be heavy. Savannah, how many times did you watch part 1?
Three or four, stopping at various points to kind of take notes and think about things and plug in information and kind of create that mental framework,
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of Miriam and Denise.
Daisy. It's a lot of
Daisy. That's a lot of Daisy.
I see we have someone in chat named Daisy's Mom 109.
Oh, yes, we do.
There you go.
That's why. And lastly, my mother keeps hounding me about this. This is for entertainment purposes only. We're just here to talk freely. We are not blaming anyone. It's just fun with a very dark twist. Okay, are we ready to do this? I'm going to pull up this timeline that Savannah created really for her brain, but I'm going to share it with all of us. So hang tight. Okay, you're up, Savannah.
All right. So this timeline is very specific to Brian Kohberger. And this was put together via digital evidence, cell tower pings, video cameras, police interactions with him. And the last video definitely put him there, but it doesn't necessarily make him the unaliver, just being at the scene. Okay, so August through November 2022, we have some pre-crime surveillance stalking. Some cell tower data reveals that Kohberger's phone pinged in the closest tower to King Road, where the house was, at least 12 times before November 13th. And almost every single time was late at night or early in the morning. Let's see, November 13th. Kohberger's phone leaves the Pullman residence traveling south. So at 2:54 a.m., the phone is manually powered down and disabled Wi-Fi and cellular data to conceal location. So yeah, he just held the power button. I'm guessing he turned off the Wi-Fi first and the cellular data option, and then he manually turned it off. And that part kind of sits odd with me because he's a criminology PhD and he should know that your cell phone gives information even if it's turned off. So that's interesting. And let's see. All right. And at the same time, Washington State campus cameras capture his white 2015 Hyundai Elantra heading toward a highway that connects Pullman to Moscow. So Brian went to school in Washington State, which was about 8 miles from the house in which this happened on King Road. So that's something important to note. All right, let's see. November 13th, 3:29 a.m. to approximately 4:20 a.m. Neighborhood security cameras film the white Elantra making 4 passes and then parking at 4:04 a.m. Inside the house. The surviving roommate, DM, so that stands for Dylan, spots a masked figure with bushy eyebrows. Now, that's interesting because there are other key witness testimony that says he had a mask on, but it covered the top half of his face and the bottom half of his face, and you could only see his eyes. And it was very specific about eyes only. So that's interesting. Some forensic evidence came from this. Investigators later recover a latent diamond pattern shoe print matching a Vans shoe sole stepped in bloodstain outside of Dylan's bedroom door. And at 4:20 a.m., cameras capture the Elantra speeding away. Okay, so this particular point in time, so a Vans shoe sole. I haven't came across any evidence when they searched his apartment after he was arrested that these shoes were his. And there's really no evidence to prove they were that I could find. Okay, November 13th, 4:48 a.m. to about 9 a.m. He turns the phone back on, and he's near 95 south of Moscow. Let's see, between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., he spends hours on the phone with his mother. And just a note there, him spending hours on the phone with his mother and or his father was very normal. And the time frame in which he made these calls, the early of it, is also very normal for his pattern of behavior. Let's see. So cell data shows the phone pinging near King Road crime scene around 9 a.m., hours before the police are actually called or the bodies are discovered. So his phone pings near the house at 9 a.m., but these unalivings were committed for around 4, I don't know, like late 3 something, early 4 something, kind of that short time frame. So that's interesting that he would still be around at 9 a.m. That's kind of odd to me. So at 10:33 a.m., he takes a selfie in a bathroom mirror showing a Band-Aid on his ring finger and raw reddened knuckles. So I actually saw the cut under the Band-Aid, and it was so tiny. It was like the size of a, I don't know, like a pencil eraser. So that's just a note for context. Let's see, late November, December 22. Let's see. After police publicly announced that they are looking for the white Elantra, Brian immediately switches his car registration from Pennsylvania to Washington State. So he is actually from Pennsylvania. His parents live in Pennsylvania, and up until that time, he kept Pennsylvania identification and tags. So some digital evidence of this. His phone history shows searches for lists of registered Elantras, police updates, and graphic deleted browser history. Autofill terms like sleeping and voyeur. He also downloaded profiles for over 20 knife-wielding serial killers. Okay, so so I actually watched a video of the people who did forensic detailing of his phone, and his what seemingly is odd behavior for a normal human being is not odd for him, for his normal. So that's something to note. He's definitely had some certain proclivities with what he watched. We'll leave it at that. December 27th through the 30th, 22, during initial crime scene processing, authorities recovered a tan K-bar knife sheath resting on a bed next to Madison's body, containing a single source of male DNA on the button snap, right? So you have to open it to get it out of the sheath with that button snap. FBI agents secretly raid the trash at Koberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania. And from the trash, they gather DNA evidence from his father, which comes back as a 99.9% biological match to his father and therefore to Brian. Yep. So that is the timeline of Brian Koberger.
All right.
From what we know as factual.
All right, so let's do this. All right, so I know we had questions from viewers. Jen or Savannah, do either one of you want to start with those? Or Savannah, let me do this. Sorry, Jen. Do you have a path of questions you'd like us to start with based off of what you're feeling and thinking?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So Jen, hold your thoughts.
Because I was going to ask Savannah, like, to sum up what it seems like she's got an alternative opinion on what happened. So I definitely want her to sum it up based on what she just shared with us.
Okay.
I'll start with I'll start with something that sits out with me or sits out to me, but is obviously I can't prove it, right? So all of the unalivings happened on the second and third floors of this house. There was 2 people that survived this, Dylan and Bethany. Bethany was asleep on the first floor. And usually when you have a multi-level house, there are no bedrooms on the first floor, usually. So the bedroom that Bethany was in was definitely very inconspicuous. You couldn't walk into the front door, this back sliding door, and say, oh, that's a bedroom. So I understood why Bethany survived, essentially. But the thing that really sits out to me is Dylan was on the second floor. Her bedroom door was not out of the way. It was very obvious. Why is it that Dylan was the only person on the second floor to survive? And no one survived on the third floor.
Okay.
I believe that.
Sorry, keep going.
There's something going on with that. And my theory is it's either, I don't know if she personally had anything to do with it. Although if she did, I wouldn't be surprised. But something about her boyfriend's father being in the area nights, rumor has it, very strong, reputable rumors have it. It's just strange. Either the people who did this knew that and didn't want to deal with the fallout from that group if they took, someone who's close to his son, or they were involved somehow, and she was supposed to be spared this on purpose. So that's my summary of my theory.
That was a good question, Jen. Thanks for asking that. And so tell us, what is your first question?
My first question for that specifically was, did Dylan's boyfriend or his dad have a part in this?
Any chance we have pictures of Dylan's dad?
We do. It's Jeremy Kelly and Quinn Kelly. There's a picture labeled.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who's new to us, we read off of photos. Well, I do specifically. I won't speak for Denise. And so sometimes it takes a minute for us to find the photos, as we have a ton of photos here, so I got to sift through. So sorry, the name again?
It's okay. It's in alphabetical order, so look for Quinn Kelly.
Oh, look at you. You aren't messing around. Quinn Kelly.
Yeah.
I just want to address Be Better 1129 here. The real quick before this,
of course.
Comments. The numerology of that house and of everything that happened is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
1122, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
double master numbers. Yeah,
absolutely.
There's definitely a rabbit hole to go through. And intentional.
Absolutely. Right. I would love to see the life paths of them as well. That's something I'll probably calculate out later.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll make a note for that.
Okay, great.
One thing that, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so this photo is Quinn, the boyfriend, Quinn's dad, and Dylan, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And the dad was the one who was associated with that group?
Yeah, he's part of the Brotherhood.
Okay.
And actually, I don't know, Quinn might be as well. I mean, he's the son, so I just...
When I was looking at, we got some new pictures that Savannah sent us from Brian. And I can't seem to kick his involvement. We'll leave it vague because I know that you know, when intuition comes through, interpreting it is key, and it may not be straight on. I look at these, what I feel when I look at Dylan, Quinn, and the father. I look at troublemakers, but I don't feel that they did it. What do you got there, Denise?
So when you were asking or mentioning that, you know, you can't shake that Brian didn't have some involvement, this is the card that came out and it's tracked down.
Which means to you?
To me, it means that he was tracking. Because the card is hunter, and it's track down your fears and your desires. So I'm taking it as he was hunting, tracking down his desires, because I feel that he had an interest in Dylan, and that's why she may have made it through. Because he does, if I recall from our previous reads, he is a little odd in his interests, and because he was also very odd himself, he had a tendency to not get the girl, whatever that means, in regard to, like, he would like somebody, but they wouldn't like him back. And so that would bother him.
Mm-hmm. I also feel like, looking at these pictures you sent, Savannah, it sends a chill down your spine. I definitely will not say that he performed the unalivings just yet. I'll look to the cards and Denise on that one. But he went to school for criminology so he could get away with things. He wasn't doing it so he could help society. And that mindset he was born with. So there's something that he's challenged with mentally that is not only aligning him with this type of work, but also, and most important, and I think I may have said this in part one, maybe not, there's an entitlement. There is a feeling that what he's experiencing right now is temporary and he will be freed of it. There's a plan here. There's a plan here. I'm not feeling someone going, what, hold on, what's happening? And like becoming emotional and even tearing up and going, Dad, Mom, like help, like what's happening? I don't feel any of that.
There are several psychologists and psychiatrists that claim he is either a psychopath or he is very, very autistic, which shares some similarities in certain areas with psychopathy.
Well, and as you were talking, Miriam, the thing that popped into my mind, not that he was doing the same thing, but Jeffrey Dahmer, in that he thought he was going to be able to do this, and get away. And he's not. He's mildly surprised that he couldn't get away with it longer, in a way, because he like you said, went to school to learn. He was trying to figure the ins and outs. I almost feel like he studied those types of individuals in a way that would help him to understand the mind of a criminal so that he could get away with it and then have the forensic knowledge to protect himself at the same time.
Dad is supportive of the behavior, whatever this behavior is. He's never discouraged him. He's never tried to redirect him. He's encouraged it. And that's maybe what we'll say about Dad. Yes. What's this one?
So this one is shapeshifter. And what I'm seeing is Brian would just shift into whoever or whatever personality, whoever he was talking with and what they wanted to hear, see, or know about him. So he was like a chameleon. He could just be whoever he needed to be in whatever room he was in.
Savannah, what would you say based off of the things we said the first show and what we're saying now, that to you is still like, but that still doesn't, for me, pin him there? Like, what are some things that stand out to you that you'd like that we can look deeper into? Like, if there's something in your head going, okay, I can see all of that, but something's still not lining up for you.
The thing that isn't lining up for me is that from the first show, you kind of confirmed that it was, this is a multi-tier event. There are cover-ups. There are people involved that have some authority and power. I don't know how far up it goes, but who was with him and why them? When was it in that moment where he was like, yeah, them? And something else that doesn't make sense to me is that night there was somehow a recording of a fight between, no one can really pinpoint the voices of who's who, but it was things like, don't let him do that, get off of me, this and that and this and that, and that audio does not line up with the prosecution's framework of what happened, right? There are people out there who's made like 3D videos of what happened, and they just don't line up with a lot of things. Like, for example, Ethan had blonde hair in his hand, and they labeled it as debris, not as evidence. Where did that hair come from? Whose hair was that? When did that happen? There's a lot of small parts that are getting swept under the rug from an authority, police, a legal standpoint. And it just seems like they're pinning it on him. And I'm sure he probably was there. I'm sure he was involved. I don't think he would say, no, I'm just going to plead guilty for fun. Right. But, the death penalty was on the table. So they offered him a deal. They said, you plead guilty or you'll go to trial and you'll probably get put down. Right. So immediately he says, okay, let me not take my chances. And it's just the little things, right? A lot of the little things just don't align. They just don't.
Ethan, sorry, and again, for anyone that's new, I don't remember names, I don't retain names, and I don't retain like the logistics of things, so I may ask and re-ask a couple times. Ethan passed with the others, yes?
Yes.
That hair was planted in Ethan's hand.
Wow.
Right.
Whose hair was it?
It's the girl that wasn't there a girl next to him that passed?
His girlfriend.
There was. Yeah.
Yeah, that hair was planted. Denise?
Yeah, they I could see them, they like almost like took his hand and yanked it. Like, it's weird the way they did it, but it's like it's almost like he was like struggling and like almost like was rough and pulled her hair, but he wasn't the one who did it. It was
No.
almost like somebody took his hand and pretended to make that happen. And I don't know if these girls had their own hair or if they had extensions.
Mhm.
And so if it was extensions, it's going to be easier to tear the hair than if it was regular natural hair.
It's a great point.
Sure.
And because of the color of their hair, the length of their hair, having worked in that industry for a lot of years, it would be really tough to keep your hair that color, that blonde, that long, and that healthy without extensions.
Right.
But Xana's hair was dark. Thanks, BB. Yeah, Xana had brown hair, but wasn't the color hair blonde, Savannah?
It was blonde.
Yeah, I saw that. I came across that too. So,
Xana's hair was brown, but the other girl's hair was blonde, right?
right.
They were all blonde except for Xana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that hair was planted because Ethan didn't have anything to do with this.
Right.
And the only way that hair would have ended up in his hand is if it was planted or if somehow he was trying to assist. No, I mean, help save them somehow.
Right.
And it's like so when I hear you say that there's a hand holding hair, I don't see a transfer of it. Meaning I'm not seeing and let me rephrase that. I'm not seeing a natural I'm not seeing a natural behavior pattern to get that. I'm seeing a person, and then I'm seeing like it just from an intuitive standpoint, what I'm saying is I can see when something flows and is like someone's doing this, someone's doing that, right? Denise understands. And then there's like sometimes there's like a break, and you're like it's like just that appeared. That appeared, which means which tells us the interpretation of that appeared is someone placed that there.
Right. And the fact that they then didn't admit that evidence, that they kind of literally just swept it under the rug, right? Isn't that what you said, Savannah? Did I remember that correctly?
Right.
So,
that along with a lot of other things like that.
Right. So that's all those little things that somebody tried to cover their tracks, and yet like none of that. And I don't know what the other little things are, but it all feels very disjointed and very like, okay, we have to do this. We have to do that. We have to do this. We have to do that. It was almost like, it's the weirdest thing in my head, but it's almost like somebody was like packing for a trip. And it's like, oh, we have to get our toothpaste. We have to get our blow dryer. And, and it was like, okay, well, we have to go to this room and we have to get that. And we have to go to this room and we have to get that. It's very mechanical in the way that it was done. It's a very, like you said, disjointed, disconnected.
I was going to say, you said disjointed. That word, it describes it perfectly. It's disjointed. There's not like, and what we're feeling when we say that is, it's not like someone runs in, does something, and then shoots out the back door. This is someone going through rooms and not taking their time, but like going through rooms and going up different floors and exactly what you said, like packing. Like this is something that is organized in their mind, but disjointed from a perspective of what we normally see. Someone comes in, they do something, they leave, and you're seeing this like what we keep saying with Nancy Guthrie is she was taken out the back. She was taken out the back. You can see them come in, take her, bring her back. With this, it's disjointed is the word of the night. Okay, Savannah, what else do you have? Bring it.
The father-son relationship that you mentioned in the part 1, that just kind of occurred to me that if Dylan's boyfriend's father was not involved in this, who would be helping Brian do these things? And it just occurred to me that Brian not only went to WSU, for his criminology PhD, but he also worked at WSU. He was paid to be a student. He was a TA as well. And he had numerous complaints from women against him, 13 that are provable and credible, and then others that were just kind of rumor mill complaints. But it was always his supervisor that kind of said, you know, just avoid him, just be like this around him instead of firing him. And that's why they're getting, I'm not sure if the lawsuit is over, but they were sued by all of the parents of the victims for this. So it makes me wonder if he had anything to do with this.
Who?
Do you know how old the professor was?
Brian's professor. I'm trying to find a picture of him, or at least his name, and I'm.
Let's tread lightly on that. Remember, someone's already been sued by him. So I say, if you can find a picture, send it to us, but we're not going to mention it moving forward. But yeah, Jen, I think you were the one that told us, or Denise, that there's a psychic on TikTok who was like,
she said it was a professor at Idaho State University.
Oh, that's right. I do.
One of the victims. So it wasn't it wasn't Brian's.
Oh, this is different. A different professor.
Yeah.
Oh,
and Savannah, did you read that he actually was fired? They let him go from his position.
Oh, when?
It was like it was like right after the incidents, or maybe even right before.
Interesting.
I still love to see a picture of him, and I would love to see a picture of this other professor, Jen, that this other woman was talking about.
It was a female professor.
I'd love to see a picture of her and why this psychic is leaning so hard. I want to add this too. Well, let's talk about Brian's dad for a minute, okay? Brian's dad has stuff on people. Brian's dad does something that is a service for not necessarily the wealthy, but those that can afford it. He offers a service, but that service is possibly illegal, maybe not illegal, but something that might embarrass somebody.
Is he a fixer?
What?
Is he a fixer?
Yeah, it's like a cleaner upper.
Right.
To me, I'm seeing him supply a service like sex workers or something like that, where he's supplying them with something. Maybe it's drugs. I don't know. Or maybe it's this. Absolutely. Maybe it's a fixer. But because of this, he has relationships with people, and these relationships will keep him safe. And I'll be careful what I say because he is not incarcerated.
I just sent that to you.
So I'm gonna leave it at that. But this. Okay, so you sent me the professor that was eventually fired because he didn't report Brian, correct?
I don't know if he was fired.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
Oh, who was fired?
Brian was let go from his position.
Oh, Brian was fired. Okay, so this is why I told you guys in the beginning I don't follow stuff well. Okay, so this professor you sent me is who? Oh, okay. The professor that Savannah just sent us is who Brian worked for, yes, or assisted?
Yes.
That's just someone, that's someone who doesn't understand that the world has shifted and behavior is it never was appropriate, but now you will get in trouble for crappy behavior, for allowing shitty behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I also feel like he might know Brian's dad. And I feel like, to say it gently, a lot of people know Brian's dad. that nobody may knows him. Does that make sense?
Right. There's actually another person involved. I'm going to send you a picture of, I just read about him, who was another head of the graduate who was very close and involved with supervising Brian's academic standing.
Jen, can you text that to Denise too?
Yeah.
Or did you?
No, I didn't. Sorry. I was going to put it in the Dropbox. Sorry. Here we go. Axel, stop. Oh my God. Axel's, come on. Okay.
So the psychic was saying that she was having an affair with one of them?
Yes. And so that instructor sued Ashley, the psychic, and won.
She had, well, because she has nothing to do with any of this. I don't understand why. I don't know. I don't see her involved in this at all.
I love that we're ruling people out too. That's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely helpful.
I have a lot of feelings on Brian's dad that I can share with you later, but I feel like that's never used this word before. Now let's see if I'm using it correctly, but he's the stopgap. That's the word that comes to me. So everyone is, so there's a plan in place here. There's a plan on how Brian's going to get out, or if he gets, like, what that's all going to look like.
Right. And I think we even talked about this in the previous show, that there's some kind of ring, if you will, of some sort that people aren't necessarily had always worked together, but it's almost like they came together for a cause. And so you have this group working with this group, and they didn't generally intermingle before, but whatever was going on brought them all together, like a meeting of the minds. And I almost see them like in a basement meeting where nobody would have known that they would have been together. And they are just having you do, kind of conversations. The only thing it's kind of the weirdest thing, but it's like many years ago, I watched that show, The Sons of Anarchy, and you had all these biker groups, and, on the outside, they looked like they were always in controversy with each other, but underneath there was some cooperation between them to get the goal that they wanted. I realized that was a show, but it was, probably based in truth somewhere. And, so I feel like it was kind of like that. It's like they all have their own agenda, but at the end of the day, they all kind of wanted to transport the thing, whatever the thing was, because it was going to be lucrative to everyone to cooperate.
The business.
Who is this guy you sent us?
That is another one of his academic supervisors that he worked very closely with, Brian did.
Denise, let me send this to you.
Okay.
And then let me send you, I don't think you got the other one either. His other
oh no, I can do it.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. So what about this other gentleman are you interested to know about?
I mean, it just seems odd to me that he was able to survive so many very pointed, very evidential complaints from other students and female staff, and he was just able to stay and do this for a very long time.
Dr. Dale or John Snyder are you talking about?
I'm talking about Brian, and I'm wondering if those two or one of them were had a hand in protecting him there, kind of tidying up for him when he did these things. These complaints came through.
Yeah, not in a way that was criminal, in a way that was supportive of someone who they felt had a lot of potential, who struggled socially. And there was this sense of giving the guy a break. And honestly, I feel like it came from a good place, right, wrong, otherwise, but I don't feel that any of that had anything to do with anything. I feel like I feel like those two men are a perfect example of why we should always use our intuition combined with our logic, because if you used your intuition, you would understand that this wasn't just Brian wasn't just smart. There was something else going on beneath the surface, and they chose to not see that, whatever that is, whatever their reason was. But I know I don't feel a direct anything. Denise?
Okay, good.
No, I just feel like the older gentleman was more like fatherly towards him in protecting him like a father would protect their child, kind of thing. Like, okay, well, there's something a little off here. You're really smart, but let me guide you the best I can, kind of thing. And like you said, Miriam, like, unfortunately, he looks like he might be from, where, okay, well, we're just going to sweep that under the rug and just stay away from it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He is, for sure, right? And, probably talks about how things have gone, people take things too far and people take things too seriously until this happened. And I think he's changed his thought process a little bit. But, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
What gets me is, I was just thinking about the knife sheath. That is their only DNA evidence to Brian. But what gets me is that there's a fingerprint on the clip, right, to open it, to take the knife out. But from what I could find, and I might be wrong, but there were no other fingerprints on it. So usually when you hold a knife sheath, so when you take a knife out of a sheath, right, you pop it open and your other hand has the end of it and you pull the knife out. Now, the only way that wouldn't happen is if you had it on your side, and then you just popped it open and pulled the knife out. But because it was left in a bed, it had to be not on his side. So where are the other fingerprints?
Because it was left in a bed, it was... So you're saying there's no way of knowing how he pulled it out?
Right. And it just seems too on the nose, right? His DNA on the clip. But so like if you're going to go do something like this, right, and you're going to you bring a knife with a sheath, right, you walk in the house and it's either on your hip, right, attached to your pants, or it's in your hand. Either way, if it's in the sheath, you have to touch the end of the sheath and then the clip to unlock it and pull it out, right, like this.
Okay.
So are there, I just couldn't find that there were other fingerprints on the end of the sheath. And if the sheath was in the bed, which it was found in the bed, very obviously in the bed, one, he studied this. Why would he leave it in the bed? That's weird. And two, where are the other fingerprints? Because if it's on the bed, then it's not on him. And that means he had to use both hands to open it, to me.
I think the sheath was planted there.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I mean, people wear their knives on their hips. They don't, so I think the sheath was left there intentionally.
Yes, it was definitely left there intentionally, 100%.
I think that goes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that goes along with the rest of the disjointed stuff. Let's put the hair here. Let's leave this here. Let's, I think it's all part of that. Move this, take that, leave this, because they were setting somebody up.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
They were setting somebody up to take the fall, and I don't know if in the process they thought it was going to be Brian or not, but that's who it ended up taking the fall. Because I still don't feel like Brian actually did the unaliving of his own. I think he was a part of this, and I think he's more dismayed that he's in prison, jail, wherever, and because I know they're different, and he's more dismayed, like, okay, they're gonna figure this out and get me out of here. Like he, like you said, I believe he took the plea to not face the death penalty. Because that would be a whole different can of worms for them to be able to work around and let him out. And I'm not saying that he won't serve time, but it's not going to be what would have been had he not gone. And I don't know.
So yes, they the knife was planted, but it was also used. But it was planted, meaning it was purpose, like we said, it was purposely left there. That was part of the plan. I feel like they were trying. I feel like the intention was to make it look like Ethan did all of this. And I almost want to, this is going to sound crazy. They accidentally unalived him. There was what I feel. So something we talked about last time was I feel two people. Denise feels more. The one person who did this, who I can't put my finger on just yet, what was not anticipated about this one person is the rush that was going to get, like, he just kept getting, like, there was this, okay, we're going in for one person. Okay. This is what we're doing. We're going in, we're going to do this, this, and this. And there was this sense of like he can't, like, they didn't, this is what I'm being told is there's a difference between a serial killer who is very methodical, can go in, can corner the one person, can walk out and move on, and doesn't get amped up. And then there is the person that cannot control the desires, that cannot control. Now, obviously, there's probably more than two people. This is what I'm being told. Then there's those people that can't control their desires for whatever reason. Okay. They can't control. And this was not anticipated. And so this person had one job for one person, and he could not control himself. And so then this disjointed behavior that wasn't disjointed in the beginning, it was organized and methodical. Hitmen, this is like they're saying, they're hitmen that are, as awful as it sounds, they are very good at what they do. And there's a reason that they are very good and never, ever caught. Mm-hmm. This was not a hitman. This was someone who was brought in and lost control.
Okay. What if, so you said earlier that Brian was getting this criminology degree, all his education, to basically figure out what he could get away with, right? Not really to help the world. Mm-mm. And Brian's father knew people, and I'm sure he knew those type of people. What if, because of that, and he supported Brian's behavior, what if this was Brian's initiation into these people who historically unalive people in that town? Because he obviously would have been seeking groups and people like that out because that was his end goal. What if this was his, for lack of a better term, gang initiation, and he ruined it and they had to go in and fix everything?
Didn't Denise, you say that on the first episode? Didn't Denise say that, Jen? That he was being initiated or something like that? I thought someone did. So yeah, because that's what it feels like, right? Yeah. That's exactly what it feels like. That this kid is not built for that. Like I want to go back to something you said about his dad. What you just said, something about dad knowing people. He had a deep desire to also please his father. He really wanted to his dad to see him as he looked up to his dad. He looked up to his dad. His dad was very strong and impressionable, and he looked up to him, and he would have done anything dad requested. I'm not saying that that's what happened at all, because I still am trying to figure out why, right? So, but when I look at Brian and his dad, he loves his dad. He trusts his dad. Anything dad says, he listens to. Even if it goes against something he's learned, he'll listen to it.
And I just want to point out just a couple of facts about Brian, just for context. He called his mom and dad mother and father. He never, even in his contacts, it was mother and father. That's kind of, people do that, but it's a little odd. It is. Mm-hmm. And also, Brian was a vegetarian. Brian was not, a quarterback chock full of muscle, right? Mm-hmm. So for the damage to be done to some of the victims' faces, the really horrible, gruesome stuff, someone had to be really strong, because the time period that they're saying this happened in is so short. I don't think he could have done all of that on his own in that short of time and with that much power for every single person that was unalive that night. So I definitely don't think he was in there by himself.
Mm-hmm. So I'm now sensing he was the third person in the car.
Mm-hmm.
He was the third person.
Yeah, because the person I see doing this is big, and big, not big, but in like a solid frame, a solid build. Someone who I would say is more active than not, takes care of his body.
Brian was very slender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Brian was there.
Yes.
But this was, so now I do see two people actually performing the act.
Is one the stocky one, and then
Yeah.
the other one has a mustache?
Does he have a mustache?
Does he have a mustache? Because you saw a mustache in the last show.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Brian doesn't have a mustache, and there's no pictures of his camera phone or his camera roll, and he has tons of selfies everywhere that he has a mustache.
So when Jen asked that question with the pendulum, the answer was yes, there was somebody with a mustache.
Nice.
And
don't ask about Brian's dad. He's not in prison, and he's not nice.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to. I was just going to ask if Brian was the third person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Brian was the third person. So he was definitely a part of it. It's just a matter of,
I'm going to send you guys another picture.
Okay, you can text it to us both.
Okay.
Savannah, do you want to see it?
Brent?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
I'll send it to you.
I tried to
upload.
Do you want to say who it is? Hold on one sec, Denise. Jen, do you want to say out loud who it is or no?
Oh, yeah.
Who you're sending us?
Yeah. I tried to upload it to Dropbox, so it might be there, but then I couldn't find it. So his name is Brent Kopaka, and I'm in the comments. People are saying that both judges, the one in Moscow and then the second one in Boise, accidentally said Kopaka's name in court. So this is the picture of the person I'm going to send you guys, because it's like neither should have known his name. Why did that come out?
That's fascinating. Denise, what were you going to say?
I forget. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. We're sorry. Okay. Email or text?
Text.
Okay. Savannah, what are your thoughts on this? Hello.
Does he have a mustache?
Not in the picture. Well, he could, but it's like a 2:00 shadow right now in the picture.
I bet it grows fast
He
then.
died December 15th, 2022. So he's passed on already.
But how did he
my.
pass, and how soon after this happened did he pass?
A month after.
Whoa.
And I don't know how he passed, but the only reason I found out about it is because BB and She's Just a Devil were putting it in the comments right now.
So who said whoa? Savannah?
Yeah, I mean, he passed. I don't know how he passed, but I mean, if it wasn't from some natural event, then maybe someone was tying up loose ends.
Okay, here, hold on. I'm reading the comments. People are sharing information.
Oh, SWAT took him out.
He initials BK.
Wow.
SWAT took him out? When and why?
Hold on. I can't. Why is it going up? BK had no friends. He just moved to the area 8 months prior. That implies he not only had friends, but close friends with an agenda to be a part of the murder. This guy, I believe.
Let's see. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
Bryson Gill has the mustache. Brent Kopaka died by SWAT murder. I mean, this could lead up to the higher levels of things. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They don't tell you why why the SWAT team was there?
Here. It says he was killed by law enforcement after threatening to kill his roommates before barricading himself inside his apartment and shooting out his window.
All right. Well, I feel like that. I mean, as soon as I saw his picture, did you hear me go, whoa? And this build and he's got the mindset of someone who doesn't freak out.
Yeah.
This is someone who doesn't freak out.
Do we have a picture of Bryson Gill?
Let me look for it.
Who's that?
The guy with the mustache.
Yeah. Let me see.
Different than Brent.
What is this uniform that he's in?
Military. He was in the service.
I'm putting something in the chat.
Wow.
Okay. Right. I got that. I think I have a picture of him. Let me send it to you guys.
Shit.
So Denise, you feel 3 or more than 3?
Hard to figure out which one is which. They're all.
I think there's more, but I still feel like 3 that night, like during the actual act.
Hang on, I think Brent is coming through. I think Brent is here. He has not fully crossed over. He is unsure about his surroundings, where he's at and why he is there. He is in between realms. He's standing there just sort of going like this. He doesn't have any recollection of his behavior when he was in body. He doesn't understand what has happened to him and what he did. He doesn't know why he behaved that way, and he doesn't understand. He literally, he genuinely, I should use that word, not literally, he genuinely doesn't understand why, who he was and what happened. He when he was in body, there was a brainwashing situation that happened to him, and he was like a robot, and he could tell him what to do when he did it, tell him what to do when he did it. And so when he is not in an environment where he has someone like the military, where he gets up in the morning and knows exactly what to do and when to do it, if he no longer has that, He's lost.
So he needs external motivation too.
He was brainwashed. That's the only word I keep thinking of. I don't know if that word is true. Trained to behave do this like a robot, and to not feel through it, and just to perform tasks. And for whatever reason, his personality could do that. Without question, he was always a lost soul. The problem is he doesn't remember that. He does not remember the things he did in that lifetime. He just knows that if I was told to do something, I did it. And I can lock in whatever it is that I do. I am very focused, very clean. A lot of what happened is not representative of me. I can lock in and be very clean. This was not clean. That does not represent me. He's speaking about it almost in a way of being a sense of honor with the way he does things, even if those things are unaliving other people. And so he's saying, don't look at me. I didn't make that mess. But let me be clear about something. I'm not saying he's saying he didn't do it and wasn't there. All he's saying is, I didn't make the mess. I'm not saying he wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made a mess. I didn't make the mess.
Maybe he was a driver. A lookout or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 people that entered the home and did this, at least. And honestly, I feel like he may have been one of them, because he knows how to go in and do a job, clean, and walk out. Mm-hmm. And so we have this other person, maybe Brian, who made a mess of things. And so this is where the disjointed behavior kicks in, because now this third person has to clean up the mess he made. And this third person, see, this guy, Brent, he doesn't have a criminal mind. He doesn't have a mind that thinks like Brian's does. He is told what to do, and he goes in and he does it. And he's very good. He doesn't have a criminal mind. This is important. This is also why it's important that we use our intuition, because if we put him in a box, we make grand assumptions. He doesn't have a criminal mind, but if he is told to do something, he will do it. This is someone who was craving direction, responsibility. Tell me what needs to be done and I will do it. Otherwise, I can't function. Versus a criminal mind that is capable of moving things around, changing things, organizing, maybe this, maybe it looks like that. That's not him. So now we have what feels like, and Denise, step in if you don't feel this, it feels like we're honing in on these 2 very different personalities, yet it very much, to me, energetically represents what went on in there. Mm-hmm. Disjointed chaos, planting of things to clean up a mess that wasn't originally started, but whoever did pull this off was strong, fast, capable, and Brian was none of those things. But Brian could clean up a mess that he made. He went for Ethan. This gentleman went for one person. Like I said in the beginning, it was only supposed to be one person. I don't know why yet. This gentleman went in for that one person. Brian, let me say Brian in quotes. We don't know yet. Maybe. Jumped in. And his emotion, he just went batshit. And now we have a mess. Had that person that we're referring to right now as Brian, had he never gone in and just this person went in, quiet, clean, one person, that's it.
Do we know who this one person was?
Who they were going after?
Yes.
Fuck, man, I'm stuck on that. Denise, I'm stuck on that. And why? Why? These are children. I'm not understanding why.
So I do want to say, in that audio I heard earlier of the arguing that happened and that same night, some of it sounded like someone was being accused of stealing drugs and not paying for them.
Okay.
And if that's connected to, I know there's a huge drug trafficking market in that area. Maybe that was the reason.
Okay.
Maybe they owed so much money. Yeah.
Yes. And it was to send a message to the rest of them that we're not playing. This is not a game. I actually feel like they were not supposed to unalive this person. I think it was a warning, like, yes, hurt the person, get their attention. And that's when everything went awry. And that's when the mess happened. And then it had to be cleaned up and figured out. Yeah. That's because Brian was smart enough to do it. But I do think I think he was the cleaner upper. I think he's the one with his knowledge was panicked, because if he was really not panicked and paying attention, he would have grabbed the brown hair, but he just grabbed hair, right? And put it in his hand. He just did this and did that. And so I think he was trying to set a stage when things went. I almost feel like some of the kids did wake up and were like, what's going on? And I think it just caused more of the chaos, because there was now all of these people are up and scrambling and everything is happening. So I think that's part of the disjointed. And it's almost like somebody's like, you had one job and you messed up the job, right? And now we have to fix this because you made such a mess out of everything. And it's like, you couldn't just do your job kind of thing. And it was like, so then it just went, but they panicked because it was like, oh, well, now this person saw me, we got to do that. And then this person, like, it was all of these, like, in the moment decisions. And even though they weren't really decisions, it was like, oh shit, and then this and then that and this and that. And I feel like it was just a lot of unexpected and not planned for unaliving of all of those people.
So it's Ethan, and who were the other two that passed?
3.
Ethan, and who are the other two?
Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee.
Ethan didn't pass?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's why it's called the Idaho 4. I got you. Okay, so
who was the other? Was there another boy in the house? Another guy in the house?
No.
Besides Ethan? It was just all girls.
They had a party earlier that night, though, because on the interrogation tapes of Dylan, she says, have you guys found any DNA evidence? Because we had a party and there were a lot of people there, and we did a deep clean after everyone left. So.
Okay, that's really crazy, because I don't know any young adult who has a crazy ass party that does a deep clean before. Like, exactly. That does not happen. I'm sorry. That shit happens in the morning or the next day when I finally wake up and I have a cheeseburger.
Who said that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say who.
That was in the so I can send you guys this YouTube link when we get down here. This was in one of the interrogation audios of the police and Dylan after. Like,
so Dylan said she did a deep clean after the party.
she said that they, like, yeah, she said we did a deep clean. So I just want to let you know there was a lot of people there, but we did clean up.
And you did clean up before the unalivings happened,
Yes.
is
Is
what
this
she's saying.
This is in relation to a party that was a couple days earlier, or was it the same night?
The way it sounded, it was the same night. The way she was talking about it, because she literally said, earlier that night,
Right. Okay.
that there were
Yeah.
several people there.
To me, like a young adult, like, like young adults, that doesn't track for me that they were going to do a deep clean. Like that does not track for me. Now, if it was a couple of days before, maybe.
But I saw a little bit. Go ahead.
Or what was going on at that party that they felt the need to do a deep clean. Like what kind of behaviors besides, alcohol and potential drugs and what else was going on that they felt they needed to do a deep clean, and who else's DNA are you going to find in the house?
Right.
I saw the body cam footage of the responding officer going to the scene after they had called 911. And so I saw him go into the house, and I noticed they were the red Solo cups on the table set up for beer pong. There was stuff everywhere. I guess she could have done a deep clean like on the floors and stuff, but it didn't look that. It looked like a typical college student's place with stuff around.
Right.
But also, since I brought that up, can I just mention that Dylan told the officer that day while she was standing outside the house, she said, Kaylee ran downstairs and said, someone's here. So Kaylee wasn't asleep. So there's all this misinformation. People keep saying the girls were asleep. But Dylan straight up tells the officer, I was in my second floor room. Kaylee and Maddie were upstairs. Kaylee ran down screaming, saying someone's here. She said, you can hear everything in the house. It's wood floor, so wooden stairs. She said that to the officer.
So why wouldn't Kaylee just keep running out of the house then?
Right. She said Kaylee went into the bathroom. And then after that, she just locked her door. Dylan locked her door because she got scared.
And I'm not sure the exact fact of it, but didn't they not call the police first? Didn't they call some guy over first?
They called Hunter Johnson over. Yep. About 11:30 in the morning.
Okay. Yeah.
But Dylan did go downstairs to the first floor and stayed with Bethany. So and then they fell asleep down there. So she didn't stay in her second floor room. She said she ran downstairs to Bethany. But if you're that scared, how do you not call? You must have heard everything. The scream. She said she could hear everything in the house.
Like, why not call the police? I don't understand that.
I don't either.
Okay, so I see that. What were these pictures you sent, Jen?
Okay, so
Or Danae sent. Is
Danae
that
sent them? So the one, Bryson Gill, that was the one I couldn't find a picture of, but she said he has a mustache.
Bryson Gill? Yeah, could be.
They were involved in fentanyl dealings through the leadership of the Aryan Knights. She sent 2 other pictures of Aryan Knight members as well. In the second.
The Aryan Knights are just what are they? What's
white supremacist, neo-Nazi drug trade.
I wonder if human trafficking was involved in this as well. That's something that keeps coming to my mind.
But why? So how does that play? Like, why wouldn't they then have taken the girls and trafficked them? Why would they?
I don't know. It just feels like when you have a group like that and drugs, there's bound to be prostitution, whether it's voluntary or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It feels like that. It makes me wonder how the girls were paying for college. Honestly, that's a rabbit hole I definitely want to dig into.
Parents weren't paying for it.
I don't know.
Scholarships?
Well, I think this goes back to all the different groups, like I was saying, and then everybody met in the basement, theoretically, and was, they were working for a common cause,
Yeah.
also known as money.
Right. Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere that there's 2 points I wanted to bring up because I know we've gone a long time, but one of the police officers was heard on the body cam saying one of the victims is a CI, confidential informant. So there's that note. And the
And
other,
which one was that?
they didn't say. We have to do the homework to figure out who was
and what's a confidential informant?
someone that the police is using to get information about the drug suppliers or any of the crime going on. And as a matter of fact, that leads me to, I sent you, there's a picture of the chief, the drug task force chief in our folder. And he said that there is an active, what they do, hold on, let me find I wrote it down verbatim, what he said about the drug task. It's a quad city, so it covers several states. And he said, oh my God, where is it? Sorry about that. Okay. Sheriff Brett Myers, you guys will see the picture. Drug task force. He said they used students caught dealing MDMA and cocaine. They flip them to go after the dealers. And then they get them to ID the foot soldiers, the dealers. And then they use that to go up the ladder to get the people tied to the cartels in the cities. And so he said he wouldn't rule out the murder being drug related.
Okay, so out of curiosity, Savannah, why would, for you, or was it a focal point, this cop saying one is a CA? Is that what they're called?
CI.
CI. Like shouldn't that be like?
In order to be a CI, you have to have a bond, a level of trust built with the bad guys. And that means you have to know them personally. And that means you have to know things they're doing in order to be beneficial to the police. And it just makes me wonder if someone, or more than one, knew way too much and they found out she was a CI and, took care of it. And another thing that came to mind, it made me wonder if Xana's mom was a CI as well.
Yeah, so let's kind of rewind for a second, because that's to me, that stands out. Like, that point is something we can drill down on more. It wasn't Madison. It wasn't Kaylee. It wasn't Ethan. Maybe it was Xana. And the beginning of the show, I said Xana's mom had something to do with this.
You did.
And then, but Xana wasn't supposed to be unalived.
So what's the stepmom's name?
Xana's mom?
Is that Xana? Or is the stepmom Maddie? I'm sorry, I mixed their names up. I'm sorry.
Me too. Are you looking for the mom that we said was the drug?
Yeah.
Kara.
Yes. Oh, Kara. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't get any of that
And
right. Sorry.
And
ladies.
that's Xana's mom, right?
Kara, Xana's mom. She's down on the bottom, that last picture on the left.
Yeah. I mean, she's I felt she was involved somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you think I just realized I note here in the spreadsheet, Brian's dad and Xana's mom is bad news. Do you think they know each other? Or at least are associated?
I feel like they know of each other. I don't feel like they work together. Do you, Denise?
Okay.
I don't think they had been working together.
Yeah, I don't think so. So if we stick to this, they went in for one person and it got out of control. That one person was obviously the informant. Because I can't, one of the things I cannot energetically connect is any of these kids were messing with the Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. Just those three, I can tell you energetically, they were not messing with drug dealers. I'm not saying they didn't do drugs. I'm not saying they didn't party, but they weren't going in dark alleys and buying drugs, and they weren't doing it openly, buying and selling for, like, they may have been hanging out with people that did that, but those three, they don't have any, I don't mean to be rude, but they just didn't have the brain power for that. That just wasn't a priority. That just wasn't something they did.
I think you're right, because it wouldn't really make logical sense, because just historically and economically shows that when you are a child of a parent who is in that lifestyle, you're way more likely to be in that lifestyle, even if you're trying to get away from it. It's just your environment. And Xana and her mother, well, her mother for sure was part of that. So why wouldn't it not be Xana?
Because Xana would have the connections.
Yeah.
Based on getting them through her mother.
Yes. Right. But Xana was also innocent. They missed, or just, how do I say this? Like, Xana wasn't, like, maybe she wasn't like, if anyone was an informant, it would have been her, because the other three didn't have the capacity to do that. They never could have pulled that off. I'm sorry. They never could have pulled that off. Energetically, emotionally, maturity wise, Xana was more mature. Xana was because of her upbringing, and because her option in life was to either just give up or sort of toughen up. And she was smart on top of that. So if anyone's an informant, it was her. Okay. And that means they were coming solely for her. How these other three got involved is just, this to me lends itself to when I was saying whoever this third person is got out of control with that unaliving and was not supposed to be doing any of that.
Why was Dylan left alive?
Because I'm going to say this and then I'll go back to her picture. They didn't go to take out all these people. That wasn't the intention. Three men for how many kids? Unless you're going in with a rifle or so. Like, I'm not going logical. I'm just saying this was not energetically, the intention was not to take out these children. And I don't know why I keep referring to them as children, because they are, but this was never the intention.
Right. It's not, I will say, it's not abnormal to take another person or two with you in these things, because you need, especially in that type of a neighborhood, it's very, like, the neighbors are close together, cameras and whatnot. You need someone to look out for police or neighbors being nosy, and you need someone to back you up in case something goes wrong.
So just a quick question also, Savannah. It's like, with that, like, because obviously there was a knife used, is that a common way to do more than one?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want
that seems,
yes.
Okay.
If you want to,
that seems so time consuming. I know that sounds really weird.
I know. No, you're right though, because you're just being honest, when someone is stabbed to death, you're basically just leaking to death, right? You are. And it does take a long time, but it wasn't just stab wounds they had. It was like head,
blood,
face damage.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
pretty bad. But you know, in the state of Idaho, um, a knife would be good. If I'm thinking like someone who wants to do this, a knife is perfect because a gun is too loud unless you have a silencer. But in the state of Idaho, silencers are illegal. You can buy them, you can use them, but there's a few requirements, and one of the requirements would have kept them from having a silencer, and maybe they didn't know how to make one, or I don't know, steal one or whatever. But the
Okay.
silencer thing, you have to have a clean background check to have a silencer on your gun. And no one in that group, I'm sure, would have had a clean background check.
No.
So a knife is the
Sorry,
next
that's not funny,
option.
but yeah.
Outside of
Okay.
strangulation, which takes longer than a knife. So
Right. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
All
sorry,
right.
sorry to be all graphic, but
No. I just was trying to understand like the logistics, because it just like even just going into just do one person, never mind having it go awry, and then 3.
Mhm.
And again, the real huge to me, the disconnect in all of this is, why did nobody call the police?
Right.
Absolutely.
Like that
So
is
Dylan, go ahead.
that's just such a complete disconnect for me, because you know, if this unaliving all took place at like, you know, early morning hours, and then you call some other person at 11:30, did you not go see where your friends were? Like, I'm sorry. Like,
So
people have a party, you went out, you know, blah blah blah, you know, you go, hey, you know, I mean, if you're roommates, even, I mean, unless everybody's fighting and nobody's talking to each other, you're like, hey, let's have breakfast, or you know what I mean? It's like, or who wants a coffee? I'm going to Starbucks or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think like 20 somethings.
Yeah.
So was Dylan's boyfriend there that night?
No, not that we could find.
Unless he was at. Let me. I don't know. Let me try to
Because there is I feel like Dylan has been seen in certain circles with the boyfriend, which basically alerted to certain people that she's okay, that she's safe.
Right. Don't touch her.
So whether she knew that or not, I don't know. That's just the feeling. That's what I'm feeling when I look at her, that she was marked as she's okay. All right. Now, I still am going to stand on my initial read of this. 2 people, one gets out, like there's 3 total, but the 2 I'm seeing, one loses control and has this, coincidentally, this, you know, mind that can reorganize. What was the word? Make things, you know, all of a sudden becomes disjointed, right? And then you have this one person who came in to do a job, did it, and someone botched everything else up. Like, this wasn't, I swear you can feel this second person following the main person and kind of being intrigued. And this could be self-defense now. If someone's going to push back against me, I could give this a shot. I could try this. You can feel him watching and doing this thing for the first time and just destroying the whole thing. Whereas this other person, who feels very much like this Brent Lee, is very controlled, deeply freakishly controlled.
So Dylan's boyfriend was not there. Everything I'm seeing says he was not at the party and he was not there that night.
But also, again, because they didn't intend, that was not the assignment, was to take out all these kids. This is also another reason why Dylan was spared.
Yeah.
I feel very strongly, like Denise does, that this was supposed to be a message being sent, but that there was the intention to unalive one of them, for sure, but not the rest. And the rest, the one man that was hired to do the unaliving went in, did a job, and was done until this second person who went in with them destroyed everything and took out everybody else. I don't
think
feel like
Dylan was definitely spared intentionally.
But I also don't feel like it was a coincidence that Brent died past when he did and how he did. It just, none of that feels coincidental. Even
Right.
though he couldn't tell us exactly, his wording was very suspicious when I talked to him. Even though he couldn't remember himself, but yet
I think he was the person to do the one thing, and then
Mhm.
the other person was the one who went awry, and that's where he was like, I did not make that mess.
yeah, absolutely.
And I could definitely see a case where Brian got involved with the other one or two last minute. I don't think that was the plan from the start. I think that just by association, he got wind, or maybe his dad or someone said something to him about it, and he's like, "Hey, can I get in on that?" You know,
I want to say like
and be there.
I want to say it was like a ride along, and I think Denise, you
Yes.
said that.
Yeah. Yep.
You did. You said
Yep.
it was like a training, like, you know, a ride along. Like, I want to see, like, I want to.
Yeah. I want to know how this works. I want to know how this, you know, and because he was skating the line in his criminal defense classes versus, you know what I mean? So he wasn't opposed to the criminal activity, but in his mind, I feel like he was trying to understand both sides of it. Like he was doing investigative work, like you said, like I said, like doing a ride along, wanting to learn, how does this work? How do we operate here? And I feel like that Brent may have had a psychotic break after this all occurred because of the mess, because he still focused on, I wouldn't have made the mess. And I think the mess, because he was so meticulous about things, and so it's almost like I feel like he had OCD, which is very different than, you know, because it's very methodical. And like one of my kids has it, and, you know, he does a counting series. And if you interrupt him during that counting series, he has to start all over again at the very beginning and go through the entire process again. And so somebody that truly has OCD, this would have really messed with his sensibilities and his understanding of the task and how it went awry, and how it would have been very difficult for him to navigate the mess up, because he wouldn't have messed up, but it wasn't him that made the mess. But I feel like it was very difficult for him to separate himself from the other person, because it was a together job.
Savannah, yes, obviously, for sure. But Savannah, I have a question. When you look at Brent Lee, can you tell if he was trained to KILL when when serving?
Oh, let me see. Brent Lee.
Would that be part of his? Because he feels to me like someone who was trained in something deeply disturbing and difficult.
Yeah, yep, he was. Okay, first he had PTSD, so that's
for sure.
You know,
for sure.
And he sustained a traumatic brain injury, which that definitely fuels anger and like that type of thing. And he was awarded a Purple Heart for his service in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Yeah. I'm sure that there were some lives lost in Afghanistan. I'm positive about that.
Because here's the thing about Brent. this is someone who was, if he was allowed, or whatever the terms are, well, I don't know how it works, but if he was allowed to stay in the Army and perform tasks, he would have been safe from himself and from other people. I don't think he would have broken or had a psychotic break, because he was given he needed responsibility. He felt, and the work that he did in the Army was considered noble work, and he wasn't just randomly going after people. He was doing a job. And you take that person, and I almost, my heart goes out to him, because they take him out of an environment that he does not know how to live in. And so his only option is to go back to the same type of work. How do I find this same type of work? Okay, I mean, a hitman makes sense.
Right.
I can do that. He does. So this is this man. And then it just, this,
I'm kind of disappointed he didn't become a real life Dexter. That would have been something noble. But to do this to a bunch of college kids, you know, that's
did
not
Dexter?
Good.
I never saw Dexter. Did he only take out the bad guys, basically?
Oh yeah, Dexter was a psychopath. Well, some people think he was a high functioning autistic who had a lot of trauma as a child, but he was adopted by a cop father, and he had these urges to unalive people. And he was like, listen, you know, here's this code. If you have to do this, you have to follow this code. And Dexter had a very strict code, and he would only take out bad guys who the justice system let off from like technicalities, like really bad people. And that's how he fulfilled his urges and also helped society. So,
and obviously I don't know the ins and outs of these things, but someone like him should have been handled with kid gloves. He never should have been left to his own. They should have found him work. Anyway, I'm just, because I can feel him and talk to him, my heart breaks for this man. So anyway, I feel like he played he was, like, if I were to put names to it, I would say him. Brian was the straggler who messed things up. And then this third guy in the car, who I put in the chat, who I think maybe that may have been who that was. And the intention was not all of them. It was one person. It was to send the message.
Yep.
And with that being said, that message may not have required unaliving, but you've got all the wrong people doing this work. And maybe who knows, maybe my signals are getting mixed, and maybe it was Brent who broke, and he never breaks. But because this wasn't a wartime setting or something, he just broke and went nuts. And then Brian cleaned it up, or tried, or whatever. You know, that could also be what happened. He has the build, the power, the training to do that. Intuitively, I say that. I don't know if realistic.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I still feel like Brian was the cleaner upper. I don't think he
but
actually...
maybe. Oh, you don't think he actually did anything? Yeah. Then
he was definitely there. I definitely think he was absolutely there. I don't think he. I don't think he heard it. Yeah, I don't. But that's my intuition. I don't feel like he.
So then maybe I was picking up on Brent, and that Brent did the whole, because to me, energetically, Brent has the capacity to do this himself. He has the strength, he has the knowledge, he has the wherewithal to do it himself. And then it makes sense that Brian went in and cleaned it up, or again, attempted, whatever that word you use.
I think maybe somehow they were aware that there was a party there earlier that night, and they just assumed that the kids would be wasted, passed out, drunk, whatever else they were doing in there. And I think
Right.
that when they came after the one person, you know, getting stabbed hurts, whether you're asleep or not, right? You'll wake up immediately, of course.
Right.
And then maybe they didn't account for all the noise that person was making. And then it woke up the next one, and then they're like, oh, now we have to take out everybody who's awake right now because, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
Just
Denise,
kinda
you agree.
escalated.
We definitely don't feel that was the intention, was not to do that.
No, not originally. No, I think I agree, you know, with Savannah. I think, you know, they heard somebody got up. Oh gosh, we got to take care of this person. Oh gosh, we have to take care of that person. You know, I do think it was a series of events, and
which also lends itself to disjointed.
Right.
Because it's like, oh wait, now right.
I think. Yeah. Okay, so my feeling is Brent did he was tasked with the one person. And then people were waking up, and the first person, whatever you want to call him, was the one who did the rest of it, because he's like, oh, we got to handle this. And meanwhile, Brent's like, no, this is not the job. This is not what we were tasked to do. We need to, you know what I mean? I feel like he was like, because it was out of sequence. Like he knew what he's a good soldier, right? He knew what his job was. He was following directions. He was following orders. He was doing what he was told to do. And then it went over here. And then I think Brian was okay, you know, like everybody was, I just think, I just don't, I could be wrong, because, you know, I can be wrong, but I just don't feel like Brian had anything to do with the actual physical act of the unaliving.
I can feel that too.
And also, let me throw another thing in there. They had a dog in the house too. So the dog, I'm sure, made noise.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Poor dog.
Yeah, Murphy.
Where's the dog?
Murphy, that's right.
Well,
I think the dog lived.
Yeah, the dog's fine. Certain. I don't remember.
Oh my God.
Do we have a picture of the dog?
I don't have a picture of the dog right now.
Well, I'd be curious why they didn't walk that dog up to Brian and see what it felt.
Yeah, I could see if I can find
What kind of dog was it?
I have no idea.
Well, that's awful.
Oh, that poor dog.
See what?
It wasn't bad enough.
Right.
It's Kaylee's dog. And while you're looking up the picture of the dog, I wanted to also, because I've been reading the.
Yeah, please, Jen, step in. What's going on?
Kaylee had moved out of the house like a month prior. And Dylan was the one to ask her to come to the house that night, to come back, because she was not going to stay there that night. So Danae says that that's been confirmed and validated, that that's what happened. Dylan.
Wait, repeat that?
Kaylee was not living at the house anymore. She moved out like a month before that. And Dylan was the one who asked Kaylee to come back to the house.
I still don't think Dylan knew anything. I just don't think Dylan knew to the extent of, I think she may have, you know, been warned, but I don't feel Dylan knew this and was like, I'm going to have this person here. And like, I feel like Dylan has been involved in shady stuff. And again, maybe she had caught wind of something, but if she knew the extent, I just don't feel her boyfriend would have allowed her to stay there, because her boyfriend knows the potential of what goes down and never would have allowed that, because the boyfriend at the time, I can see the connection, and wouldn't have allowed her to be caught up in something like that. So I don't, and listen, you're wasted, you're high, you're on God knows what, you're young, you're traumatized. We talked about this last time. It's very hard for me to point a finger at someone's immediate response to something. I think I told you guys this before. When I found out my nephew passed, my immediate response was very strange, very odd. People would have looked at me and been like, they did, and say, what are you doing? Why are you not leaving? So I think for me, just continuing to go off of intuition, I just don't see Dylan as a main culprit here. And then you said Danae sent pictures.
Wait, can I interrupt really quick? Jeff H, the guitarist, says there's a YouTuber named Scully that is showing your live stream as you're live right now. Pretty sure that goes against YouTube guidelines. Do you care that someone's streaming us on their channel? I don't know anything about guidelines.
They usually YouTube will alert me after. I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. So you said
okay.
Then two more pictures. Go ahead.
Yeah, the two other pictures.
I just listen. All I can say is every time the Aryan Nation is mentioned, I just don't feel a connection. They're terrible people. It's a terrible thing. But I'm not saying there isn't. I'm not saying. I mean, all bad people, like Denise was saying, like it all sort of mingled. But it's not. They're not the source. They're not the source. The source is someone adjacent to them that is needing to deal with the informant that was allegedly there. So there's someone adjacent to them. And this is a young girl, so they didn't feel the need to call 35 big men from the Aryan Nation. There wasn't a need for anyone to be big and burly and scary. This is just what I'm being told. So this is why it was a very sort of quiet, what should have been a quiet job. So I just go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, I just sent the picture of the dog to you all.
Okay. And I'm looking at like this guy, these, I don't even want to say the name out loud that you sent pictures of. I mean, horrifying men. I don't feel a connection to this, to that night.
There you go. There's your answer, Danae.
To that night.
Yeah.
And same with this second email you sent. Interesting that he has a mustache, but he could have been the driver. Again, I'm not feeling. I mean, this one with the mustache is kind of giving me pause for sure. But it's so convoluted at this point. It's very hard for me to really pull it out. Really hard. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I see we might have to wrap this up soon. So quick question. The pictures that I sent of Brian holding random numbers and digits and his name and date, what is that?
There's titled Note 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, those pictures really disturbed me.
Mm-hmm.
It really triggered something in me. To me, it just continues to validate something he was going to embark on. I feel when I look at that picture, there's two things I feel from him. Again, like I've said before, one is deep entitlement, doing something and being able to walk away from it. And the other is seeing what people will respond to. There's almost this sense of deep curiosity on what people will respond to. If I do this, what's the response I'm going to get? If I do this, where am I, how am I viewed? And so I can't look at this picture anymore. He's it's interesting. You send all these pictures. Thank you, by the way, Danae. You send all these pictures of these guys that are bad guys. And you can see that they're bad guys and you can feel that they're bad guys. but they don't give me the feeling that Brian gives me. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. All right, that was a pretty intense. We still had some more pictures and stuff. So part 3, anybody? Maybe.
I think if we did a part 3, that would all hinge on Savannah, and Savannah feeling like there's more that she could piece together. And if not, I feel like we've gone as far as we can go. And, you know, I feel pretty solid on where we all landed and why intuitively. So that would just be if Savannah.
Yeah, sorry, I was just watching Scully's live stream of us over here. It's really crazy. Yeah, I'm always open for another part. I think, you know, there's a lot to explore. I think it'd be nice to put all of the you know, the intuition and everything into a timeline, just see how it looks as if it happened that way.
And maybe we could revisit speaking to Brent, and maybe he has since, you know, just sort of found some peace in the afterlife and did some, like I refer to it as schools, classrooms. It's not literally that, but some work, and his soul may start remembering and may want to participate. I think there's a couple people we've mentioned that we'll stay away from. I think if we find, Savannah, you put this together and there's just too much of a few people that is not safe for us to keep mentioning their names and bringing it up, then we won't do it, because then it will just be sitting here saying nothing. So we'll see how it all unfolds. We appreciate everyone watching. We appreciate
thank you so much for being here. Yeah, for sure.
The support.
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you for doing all that work ahead of time, Jen and Savannah. And Danae, thank you for staying on all the questions and the pictures, all of those. We incorporated everything to the best of our ability. There was a lot to incorporate. So thank you for all of that. Anything else you guys want to add before we say goodnight?
No, I think that's it for now. Oh, wait. The dog. Did you get anything from the dog read?
I couldn't. That was too
Okay.
That was too much of a bummer.
Okay.
That dog's energy is just very scattered and nervous and anxious and like this. Like, it already is a breed that tends to be sort of woo, but
I was just thinking that it's the golden doodle plus what he saw.
Yeah. Doodles are already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he's really, I hope he's in a safe home, because he's not well after that.
Yeah.
And animals do rebound, but animals, we all know, they carry a lot. They carry trauma.
They really do.
We've all seen it. So
Yeah.
that whole case just was horrifying for anyone near, even next door to it. It was just like,
Yeah.
awful. All right, you guys.
It was. That was a tough one.
Thank you very much, and have a wonderful night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.